Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about polymorphism in Java. So, polymorphism is a Greek word meaning many forms. Poly means many and morphs means forms. Okay. So, it's a Greek word meaning many forms. So, polymorphism in Java can be classified into two categories, that is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So, I'm going to discuss first about runtime polymorphism. So, as I said before, polymorphism can be achieved by, can be broadly classified into two categories, that is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So, compile time polymorphism is achieved by means of method overloading, and runtime polymorphism is achieved by means of method overriding in Java. Okay, so I'm going to discuss about runtime polymorphism first. So runtime polymorphism or dynamic method dispatch, that is another name for runtime polymorphism. It is a process in which a call to an overridden method is resolved at runtime rather than compile time. So a method will be, a call to a method is, when a call to a method is resolved at the runtime, then runtime polymorphism happens. In this process, an overridden method is called through the reference variable of a superclass. So the overridden method is called through the reference variable of a superclass. The determination of the method to be called is based on the object being referred to by the reference variable. Let us first understand the upcasting before runtime polymorphism. So before understanding runtime polymorphism, let us try to understand what is meant by upcasting. Upcasting. If the reference variable of a parent class refers to the object of a child class, it is known as upcasting. For example, you consider a class A and then class B extends A. So it shows inheritance. Okay, the moment you see the keyword extends, you understand that inheritance is the. So class B is inherited from class A. Now here in A is equal to new of B. That is if the reference variable, what is a reference variable here? Small a is the object, is a reference object, and that is being referred to the object of the child class, that is equal to new of B. This is what is called as upcasting, and the overridden method is called through the reference variable of a superclass. So once I do a program, you will understand all these things in a better way. So let us open NetBeans and try to do a program. Okay. Let me open NetBeans. My NetBeans is loading. So let me just create a new project, that is file, new project, Java application. Next, runtime poly demo. I'm going to give this runtime poly demo, click on finish. Okay, so let us try to understand what is meant by runtime polymorphism. So program to show runtime polymorphism. Okay, so let me create one class over here, that is class vehicle, class or class shape. Okay, class, I'm creating a class called as shape, and then let me make this capital S, class shape, and in this class shape I'm writing one method called as public void draw. There is one draw method, and then system dot out dot println drawing shapes, and then this is capital S, that's why I'm getting an error here. system.out.println drawing shapes, and then I'm writing one more class, that is class rectangle extends shape. And in this, I'm going to paste the same method, that is public void row. So I'm going to override. So what is the terminology that has to be used? That is, I'm going to override the same method declared in the superclass, that is public void draw. So system drawing rectangles. Now I'm writing one more class, that is class triangle extends, class triangle extends shape. And in this again, I'm overriding the same method declared in the superclass, that is public void draw. And then drawing triangles. Then what I will do here, that is, here I will create an object of the shape class, that is shape S. Okay, I'm not going to assign in memory to this object. And then I'm writing S is equal to new of rectangle. I'm assigning this to the object of the, this is a reference object now, this S. It is being assigned to new rectangle, and then I'm calling S dot draw. I'm calling like this, S dot draw. And then again, I'm creating S is equal to new of triangle. And then I'm calling S dot draw. And then I'm calling S is equal to new of shape, its own class. And then S dot draw. I'm calling the draw method. I'm calling the, using a single object, that is the object of the superclass. I'm calling, you see, first I'm calling the superclass method, then I'm calling the two subclass method. S is equal to S dot draw. S is equal to new of rectangle, S dot draw, and then S is equal to new of triangle, and then S dot draw. So single object is used to call the methods declared in the three classes. Okay, this is what is called as dynamic method dispatch, and that is used to implement runtime polymorphism. Okay, what is polymorphism? That is one name, many forms. Okay, so using a single object, I am able to call the methods declared in the three classes, and this happens during the runtime. Okay, that is which object is calling which method, that is happens during the runtime. That is why it is called as runtime polymorphism or dynamic binding or late binding in Java. So let me just run this program and show you the output. This program is being run here. So drawing shapes, drawing rectangles, drawing triangles. So you can see the output. So these things I have declared in three different classes. But you can see that the single object S is being able to call the reference object. It is the reference object, that is S is able to call the method declared in its own class, that is a superclass or the base class. And it is able to call the methods declared in the two subclasses, that is rectangle as well as triangle. Okay, so this is what is called as dynamic method dispatch, or this is how Java implements runtime polymorphism. Now if I go to this presentation, and then my presentation is behind this, I guess. Runtime polymorphism. This is what I meant by upcasting. So this is what is called as, I said that there is something called as upcasting. That is, if the reference variable of the parent class refers to the object of the child class, it is known as upcasting. So if we go to NetBeans, you can see that the reference variable, what is a reference variable here as? It is referring to the object of a child class. What is the object of the child class? That is S is equal to new of rectangle. This is an example for what this is also called as upcasting in Java. That is when reference variable refers to the to the method of a child class. That is what is called as upcasting in Java. So in this runtime polymorphism, upcasting is the, okay. If the reference variable of a parent class refers to the object of child class, it is known as upcasting. And in this process, an overridden method is called to the reference variable of a superclass. So I hope it is very clear for all of you. The determination of the method to be called is based on the object being referred to by the reference variable. Okay. And dynamic method respects the process in which the call happens during the runtime rather than during the compile time. I'll be doing one more example for the same thing. So this is an example for this is what sort of inheritance is this. This is hierarchical inheritance. Now I'll be doing one more example involving multi-level inheritance. So let us do one more example here. New Java class, and let me just name in this runtime multi class. Runtime class demo, finish. So class animal, and then I am writing public void make underscore sound. System.out.println animals making sound. Animals make sound. Now I'm writing one more class, that is class dog extends animal. Class dog extends animal. And in this, again, I'm just going to override the same method declared in the superclass. And dogs, and let me make this statement, that is dogs make barking sound. And then I'm writing class puppy extends dog. Class puppy extends dog, and I'm going to override the same method here as well. And then puppies make cute sound. Okay, now what should I do is I'm going to write public static void main here. Public static void main string args, and then inside this I'm going to create an object of the animal class, that is animal A, and then I'm writing A is equal to new of animal, and then A dot make underscore sound, and then I'm writing A is equal to new of dog, and then A dot make underscore sound. So which version of make underscore sound? Even though it is an object of the superclass, since I have assigned it to a dog object, okay, since this will be referencing the dog object, so it will always call the make underscore sound in the dog class. And then next I am writing A is equal to new of puppy, the small p, puppy. According to good coding practices, the name of the class should always starts with caps. So I'm just going to change it, modify it, new of puppy, and then A dot make underscore sound. So as explained in the previous program. In this case as well, this, even though it is an object of, A is an object of which class? A is an object of a superclass, first class. That is a class at the top in the hierarchy. That is animal class. But it is assigned to puppy object. Okay, it will be referencing the puppy object. So it will always call the make sound in the puppy class. Now let us run this and see what I have said this works or not. Runtime class demo.java, run file. So you can see that animals make sound, dogs make barking sound, puppies make cute sound. So the single object is being able to call all the methods written in the three classes. So this is an example for what? This is an example for, oh, I should write extend this. I said it is multi-level. So I should write here class puppy extends dog. Okay, class puppy extends dog. Okay. Now let me just save this and run this runtime class demo run file. So you can see that even though it's runtime, I'm able to call the superclass object is being able to call the methods declared in the subclasses. Okay. So this is an example for multi-level inheritance. That is, puppy is extended from the dog class and the dog is extended from the animal class. So this shows multi-level inheritance in Java. So this is an example for runtime polymorphism. This is also called as dynamic method dispatch in Java, and this is what is called as upcasting. This is called as upcasting in Java. That is when a superclass object references a subclass object, and that is what is meant by upcasting in Java. Okay. So now let us move on to my PowerPoint presentation, PPT. Now let us, I said that there are two types of polymorphism, that is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So we already discussed what is meant by runtime polymorphism. Now let us try to understand. I told you that runtime polymorphism is implemented by means of method overriding in Java. Now let us try to understand how compile time polymorphism is achieved in Java. Let me tell you, compile time polymorphism is achieved by means of method overloading. In Java, it is possible to define two or more methods within the same class that share the same name as long as their parameter declarations are different. When this is the case, the methods are said to be overloaded, and this process is referred to as method overloading. Method overloading is one of the ways that Java supports compile time polymorphism. When an overloaded method is invoked, what is meant by invoke? Called. Java uses the type or number of arguments as its guide to determine which version of the overloaded method to actually call. Thus, overloaded methods must differ in the type and or number of their parameters. So let us try to do one program to understand the same. Let me move on to my NetBeans. So fine. Let me create a new project. Compile time poly. So under this, let me create a new class. Oh, it's class is formed here. Compile time poly class is already there. So in this, I am going to create I'm going to create a class program package. Did I delete the package? I deleted the package, that's why. So let me create one, this thing, one. That is, I'm writing one method that is void test. system dot out dot print ln no parameters inside. No parameters, void test. I am getting an error here. That is semicolon expected. Public static void main. I am writing one method called as public command void test. I'm writing one method like void test system dot out dot println, no parameters inside. And then I'm writing one more method. I'm going to overload one more method like void test int a. And then system dot out dot print ln the value of a is equal to plus a. Okay, then I'm going to overload two parameters, that is void test int a comma int b. System dot out dot print ln overloaded with two parameters plus a plus b. And then system dot out dot print two t's. Print ln overloaded. Now double test double a. And then double test double a. And then system dot out dot print ln overloading does not depend on return type. Overloading does not depend on return type. And then return a. Return a star a. Return a star a semicolon. And then here I am going to create an object of this class what compile time poly compile time command C that is compile time poly C is equal to new of compile time poly and then C dot test and then C dot test of int a, C dot test of 3 and then C dot test of int a comma int b. In that I'll passing 4 comma 5. So and then C dot test of double a, C dot test of 4. So I 4 point, so double value, so 4.3. So that is returning me something. So double result equals double result equals c dot test of 4.3, and then system dot out dot print ln result. That's it. So this is an perfect example for method overloading. So you can see that test is the method that has been overloaded 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times. So in the first, so how does method overloading happens? Method overloading depends upon, I have created one more video. In that video, I have explained in a detailed way. This is another example here. So in this, I am passing no arguments. Here I am passing one argument. So method overloading, the name of the method is the same, okay? And return type does not matter at all. The only thing is that the number of arguments and the data type of the arguments should differ. Here there is no argument, here there is one argument, here there are two arguments, and here the data type of the argument is different. That is, so here I am passing integer a. Here also there is one argument. How the compiler is able to differentiate between them? Because here it is an integer value, whereas here it is a double data type. So that is how the compiler is able to distinguish between these two methods. This is an example for compile time. So same method. So name of the method is the same. So same method is used to do different things. That is the basic meaning of polymorphism. Using a simple method, using a single method, I am able to, by differing the number of attributes or number of parameters that are being passed into the method, I am able to do, the compiler is able to call it 4 different times. So here, so where the difference is coming? Difference is coming in the number or the data type of the arguments. The return type does not matter. You can see that I am passing I'm returning this particular method called as test is returning a double data type here. But still the method overloading happens, okay? So let me just run this class and show you the output. So the value of, I'm not able to get the value of result. System, oh, I had put double quotes. That is why that value did not come. So you got the square of the number. So I am returning the square of that thing. That is return a star a. I'm returning the square of the number. So here I'm passing two arguments. Here I'm passing. So this is an example for method overloading in Java. And this is how this happens during the compile time. And this is how Java achieves compile time polymorphism. Now let me tell you, not only methods, constructors can also be overloaded. So let us do one example for constructor overloading in Java. So I'll write it as constructor overloading class. Click on finish. So you got this constructor overloading thing. So let me add one comment over here. Program to describe constructor overloading. Program to describe constructor overloading. So let me write one box class, that is class box. Okay. Now in this box class, I'm going to declare 3 variables. What are the parameters? What are the different constraints that we usually declare for a box class? That is width, double height, and then double depth. Now let me write the constructor for this box class. That is box. I'm not going to pass any argument. I'm going to write a default or constructor. That is a constructor which receives no arguments is called as a default constructor in Java. So in this depth So what is the first thing is width. So I'll write width is equal to 3.1, height is equal to 4.5, and then depth is equal to 6.8, 6.4. Okay. Now, so this is one constructor. Now I am going to overload this constructor again. That is equal to box. I'm going to pass a single argument into this, double len. So here I am writing length is equal to width, that is this parameters for a cube. That is, you know what is the peculiarity for a cube, that is length is equal to width is equal to height. So I'll write width height and depth. Length would have been better, I feel. So I'm just going to make this as length. Width, length and height. So length is equal to, here I will write width is equal to height is equal to length is equal to len. So you know that for a cube all these dimensions are equal. So put semicolon, and then I'm going to mention one box with all these 3 dimensions. That is box, which is capital B, box double width, double height, and then double length. So box double width, double height and double. So I can write like this, this dot width equals width, and then this dot height equals height, and then this dot length, this dot length equals length. This dot width, this dot height, and this dot this thing. Oh, here the class got closed. That's the reason why I'm getting a mistake like this. Okay, now it's fine. So I have overloaded. You can see that I have overloaded the constructor 3 times. Okay, first default constructor, then constructor with parameterized constructor, that is constructor with an argument, one argument, and constructor, that is when I need to find the volume of a cube. Then different dimensions, that is width, height, and length. Now what I should do is I should create an object of the box class. Now I'll be writing one more method called as public void volume. Okay, and inside this double wall is equal to width star height star length. Double volume is equal to width star height star length. Let me just print this over here. System dot out dot print ln of system dot out dot print ln the volume of the box equals plus wall. Okay. Now what I should do is I should create an object of the box class here, that is box B is equal to new of box. As all of us knows that whenever I create an object of the class, the constructor gets invoked. Okay, so first when I don't pass any arguments, the default constructor gets invoked, and then I'll call b dot volume. There is no need to explicitly invoke the constructor. It gets invoked automatically when the object of the class gets created. So b dot volume, it is, why I'm getting an error, I'm wondering. B dot box b is equal to uh, new of box, and then b dot b dot oh, I have not written public static void main here, that's why I'm getting an error. Public static void main string args. Now the error will be gone. It is capital S. String argument is now b dot. Now the suggestions will come b dot volume. So the volume where I had specified this particular dimensions will be this version. This will width will be assigned 3.1, 4.5, 6.4. I'll get that volume in that case. Now I will create one more thing, one more object, that is box b2 is equal to new of box of, I will pass a single argument, that is to invoke this construct is double length. To invoke a cube, I will pass 3.0. Okay, and then it is capital B. Box B2 is equal to new of box of 3.0, put semicolon, and then B2 dot volume. So the cube's volume gets invoked. Now I'll create one more object, that is box B3 is equal to new of box. I need to pass three values to invoke this particular constructor. I need to pass three values. So I'll be passing 2.4 comma 2.4 comma 5.6 comma 8.3, and then b3 dot volume. So because this constructor gets, I am able to find what is the advantage, because this constructor gets overloaded thrice, I am able to find the volume of three different sets of boxes, that is boxes having three different sets of dimensions. Let me just save this program and let me just run this constructor overloading class.java run file. So you can see that the first case, the volume of the box is 89.28. The second one is the cube, where I had passed the value, passed was how much? It was 3. That is 3. So you're getting it as 27. And the third case, I have passed three values, that is 2.4, 5.6, and 8.3. So this is an example for constructor overloading. So how did I overload the constructor? By changing the number of arguments that are being passed into the constructor. So you can change, constructor overloading can be achieved by either changing the number of arguments or by changing if the number of arguments are the same, then you have to change the data type of that particular argument. So that is all in this overload. So this is how Java achieves polymorphism. So basically there are two types of polymorphism, compile time and runtime. So compile time polymorphism is achieved by means of method overloading, and runtime polymorphism is achieved by means of method overriding. That is all from this video. Thank you so much.